Everybody, please welcome to the show, Marissa Tomei. How are you?
Hey.
Welcome to the show. Thank you. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
It's a really good film. When one has to play a Syrian woman in the modern era, how does one do that?
It was difficult, actually, to find a lot of information. Ruba, our director, is Syrian. She lives here in Toronto. But she lived in Syria with her Syrian parents and siblings till she was about 12.
Which is enough to really inform.
So she's extremely informed and invested, and that is her culture. And she wrote this story, so she had a lot to advise me with. There's an interesting dichotomy between this very passionate, very intelligent, highly educated. The women are highly educated, or were before the revolution, and what's going on now. But at the same time, there aren't a lot of freedoms that Western women are used to. So to find the balance, it was difficult to even find writings on it. Their stories just aren't written down.
But you know, when you get to work on a film that is in a sense about something, then it must be pretty exciting. Or meaningful at the very least.
Yeah, sorry, I just got distracted by your skull ring. Okay, goes nicely with my little...
You like rock and roll, right?
Yeah.
It's my Keith Richards ring.
So what were you asking me? Sorry.
I don't know, but I just want everybody to know that she slid it on the ring finger of her left hand. So... This is the right time to announce we're betrothed. Well, it was on
this
topic.
This is how it goes on topic, exactly. This is how it would be for Fatima. Oh, we are? Okay.
No, listen, my dad was born in Egypt. This is how it goes, all right? No, there's the idea that as an artist, you get so many opportunities to be a part of projects, and some are for fun, some are just, everything should hopefully be compelling and or entertaining, but when you know you're doing something that's actually really meaningful and is a voice for Syrian women, that must feel, pretty interesting.
Yes, certainly. Certainly, if there's no way that our film could do justice to what the people are feeling there, or to even, the scope of what's going on. But perhaps sometimes just seeing one character or zeroing in on a very personal story, it's easier to understand the big picture. So hopefully that could happen with this.
What was it like to then, at some point in your career, decide that you're going to go on a TV show that explores your family's roots? I mean, if you have to, there's a clip of it. It's really...
Okay.
Well, I'm curious about this grandfather of mine, Leopoldo, otherwise known as Francesco Bianchi, who was murdered in 1910.
So set the scene. What was going on there?
It's a great show. It's an incredible opportunity. They took me back they pick a story, one line of your family's history.
Who you are, who we are, right?
Yeah. And I have no idea where I'm going or what story we're going to follow. They interviewed my parents. My mom said she wanted to find out about her grandfather. And it's just pack your bags and we're going. They kind of say, well, a light jacket or mittens, or I was very keyed in on do I need hiking boots? Because I wanted to figure out what topography, what terrain, any clue that I could get. But, and what?
And so at some point you discover you're going to find out who killed your great-grandfather.
Yeah, yeah. And
was it something you were curious about? Could you see your mother being curious about it?
Well, she didn't really talk about it that much when we were growing up, so I was surprised that she should bring that up at all. And we knew that he had been killed, but it was interesting because she had an idea that, and this is families are so crazy. Right? But she had some idea that he brought it upon himself. Like, it's her own, like, why did he go and get murdered?
Yeah.
Like, that was really her thinking about this situation. And
was she like that with you growing up? I mean, because that's a certain...
She was very poo-pooing, oh, he's probably screwing around, and, you know, like, but as the story unraveled, then it was probably his brother, and he was protecting his brother, and there were a lot of other socioeconomic things going on, and he didn't really bring it up. But she felt really relieved, and you could feel like this unspoken thing lift from her.
And they sent you to Italy.
They sent me to Italy. It wasn't too bad.
No, right? It could have been way worse, in fact.
Yeah.
You had just done the 10th anniversary, but you'd also done the very first Vagina Monologues. And I was curious why you think that thing is so powerful, that not just the day someone goes to watch the Vagina Monologues, but why that as a brand has become so impactful.
Wow. Well, it's the unspoken being spoken, and it's the first time, interestingly, that I saw the Vagina Monologues before I participated in the benefit. It was when Eve Ensler was doing it herself as a one-woman off-Broadway show. And I was doing a play that Joanne Woodward was directing me in. And it was the last night of the Vagina Monologues. But I hadn't heard of it. I don't know why. I'm usually up to date on that. I didn't know about this thing going on. And she said, I really want to go. So I go to see the Vagina Monologues in this tiny theater. It's like the size of this stage, with Joanne Woodward on one side and Paul Newman on the other. And we're watching this show about vaginas. And they're glancing at each other, like their unspoken language, all the references. It was really quite an experience.
That's got to be one of the most bizarre things ever.
It was kind of bizarre.
When you were watching it, did you think to yourself, God, I'd love to do that? Or did you think to yourself, I could never do that? When you were first there with Joanne and Paul.
I was crying a lot. I was really moved. I was laughing a lot. I was relieved because someone was talking about these things. I was inspired, and I was scared to say those things myself. But in saying them night after, that was a one-night benefit. But then I also did the off-Broadway run they had different women go in for certain, like, couple of weeks at a time, and just saying it's medicine. Saying those words over and over again, it works for the audience as medicine, and it works for yourself as medicine.
When you're looking for ways to find, have you found your retreat place, your place where you can go and develop?
Yeah. There's a variety of ways, from various forms of therapy, different modalities, not only talk therapy, dance, different ways of creative expression. That sounds so well, anyway. Well, how else do I do it? I do yoga.
But it's interesting, because at a certain point in this life, you can become.
I write down my dreams.
Do you really do that? Do you really do that?
What other corny things do I do?
That's not corny. That's fascinating. Do you wake up and just jot them down quickly?
I do, but now I do it into the phone, you know, because it has the little voice memo thing.
When you listen,
so I can do it on. It's easier to say it rather than write it.
When you listen back to it, what do you hear?
Very disturbed person.
Stick around more with Marissa Tomei after this. Also coming up.
First of all, ew.
I know, right?
I mean, get it together.
Exactly.
The guy behind one of your favorite viral videos joins the Three Things panel.
I find that anytime I talk to someone of the opposite sex, that is courtship. It just gets the ball rolling in that direction. Are we not in love?
No.
And I love you, Marissa.
Well then, come on, get dressed. We're going to be late for the premiere.
I haven't seen this.
It's so good.
Okay, I've never seen
The doctor and Marissa Tomei. It is, well, I mean, I get it, like Oscar recognition, but the moment you become a storyline on Seinfeld, that's a different thing. That's a different thing altogether. Had you even seen that before?
This episode?
Yeah.
I think probably early on, one time. I haven't seen it.
Okay, I'm going to wrap a couple questions really quickly towards you. Okay. You went straight back to the theater after My Cousin Vinny. How long did it take you to recover from the hysteria around that film?
I don't remember what play I did right away after that, but I had always done plays, and I continued to do them. I always go back. I always go back. It is, I feel comfortable and terrified in the best way, really challenged. And also plays are, a lot of times they're about big ideas, and I think it's interesting to start conversations that way.
Just thinking about, you've been a part of some really cool films. Was there one line, the greatest line you've ever got to say in a film, and you're like, this is the one I want to be remembered for?
Oh gosh, I don't know. My memory's not that good. The first thing that comes to my mind is the first line that I've ever had to say in a movie.
Which one?
Which was, "Oh, you're so drunk."
The first one. Was that Flamingo Kid?
Yes.
Yeah, the Flamingo Kid. I mean, that's a great one line to have. When you uttered that line and the director said, "Cut, moving on," you knew you nailed it.
Yeah.
Did you feel like, I'm here, I've arrived?
It was Gary Marshall. He made everyone feel very comfortable, actually.
It's cool. Good to see you. Inescapable is the film. Marissa Tomei, everybody. We'll be right back.
She lives here in Toronto. But she lived in Syria with her Syrian parents and siblings until she was about 12.
Which is enough to really inform.
So she's extremely informed and invested.
Everybody, please welcome to the show, Marissa Tomei.
Hey.
Welcome to the show. Congratulations on the film.
And that is her culture, and she wrote this story, so she had a lot to advise me with. There's an interesting dichotomy between this very passionate, very intelligent, highly educated, the women are highly educated.
It's a really good film. When one has to play a Syrian woman in the modern era, how does one do that?
It was difficult, actually, to find a lot of information. Ruba, our director, is Syrian. She were before the revolution, and what's going on now. But at the same time, there aren't a lot of freedoms that Western women are used to.